welcome back, or welcome to the You at Your Best podcast. I'm your host, Morgan. So today's Friday, and I am just now recording this episode because all week, anytime I try to sit down and start an episode, I've just been struggling so much because I try to start planning out an episode and then my mind just goes blank and I can't think of anything. All of the topics that I've tried, I just genuinely can't bring myself to think of one thing about the topic. And because of it, I thought about just not making an episode this week, just skipping a week. But I also know that if I don't make an episode and I skip a week, it's a lot harder for me to get back on track with continuing episodes. I tell myself that I'm going to just skip a week and then all of a sudden it's been a month or a couple of months. And I've realized that this is my self-destructive behavior. I often take something that's good and that makes me happy and I, in my mind, make it bad and hard so that I don't have to do it anymore. And I don't know why I always do it, but it's all I've ever known. I've always been so self-destructive and I'm tired of being like that. So I told myself I'm going to sit down, plan out an episode, and I'm going to make a podcast episode about it. Even if it's not perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect because perfectionism also plays a huge role in all of this. I really struggle with perfectionism with my podcast because I care so much about my podcast. It's so important to me. And whenever something is important to me, perfectionism tries to take over. So with that being said, I want to talk about allowing yourself to shine without the desire to be seen. I want to start off by talking about why we struggle to allow ourselves to shine. So a lot of us are so scared of upsetting other people that we will dim our own lights to try to make them feel better about us and our behavior and who we are. We feel guilty whenever we are authentic or happy or someone may accept us or like us more than someone else that we care about. So we try to dim our light because we don't want the people that we care about to feel bad about themselves. And that's a level of empathy that a lot of people don't have. And I think it's really incredible that we care so much about people in that way, but it doesn't benefit us to dim our light for other people because whenever we're doing that, we're inviting people into our lives that don't want the best for us and want us to stay stuck in negative patterns, want us to stay where they're at so that they feel better about themselves. But whenever we do that, we are letting go of the full potential that we have. We are letting go of the person that we can be if we allow ourselves to be more authentic. And a lot of us don't even know who our authentic selves is because we've spent so much of our lives people pleasing and trying to be everything that everyone else wants us to be. So we never had the opportunity to get to know who we are. That was my case. I genuinely didn't know who I was at all whenever I was younger, and I think that's pretty common. Like most people don't know themselves that well until they get older, and with age comes more self-understanding. But I really struggled to truly know what I wanted. Whenever people would ask me things, I would be so indecisive about the smallest things that really didn't matter. I would question myself over every single little decision. And I never truly said what I truly wanted. If someone were to ask me what I wanted, I would be too scared to say the truth. So I would either lie or go with what everyone else said. And I never had my own individual personality. I was like kind of a blob of a human being. I was stuck in this trap of people pleasing and not knowing who I was at all and being exhausted and burnt out because of it. After getting out of that trap, I've realized how freeing it is to just be yourself. A lot of us think it's harder to be ourselves than it is to fit in, but it's actually 10 times easier whenever you start letting yourself be yourself, because a lot of us are scared that people will get angry at us or upset at us. And of course, there are people that are like that, people in our lives that want us to stay stuck with them and don't want to let us grow. But most of the time, whenever you're authentic, you become magnetic and people want to be around you. People want to spend time with you because you have such magnetic energy. You have so much authenticity that it influences everyone else around you to also be authentic, to let their guard down, to take their mask off. And that in return causes everyone to feel more relaxed and less like they have to play into these stupid social roles that I have no idea why we even created them. A lot of the time we are scared to let ourselves shine because we don't want to intimidate others or be unlikable or unrelatable. We worry that it will make us hard to connect with. If we allow our light to shine, we may be rejected because it might remind other people of their own inauthenticity. It might remind them that they don't let themselves be a certain way, so they will try to dim your light. And those people aren't bad. They're just probably traumatized in some way, but they're not your people. And you don't have to be around people like that. And if you are around people like that, you don't have to dim your light just because you don't want them to be uncomfortable. Because protecting someone else's ego is the worst thing that you can do for yourself. Pleasing someone else instead of doing what you think is right. Standing up for someone whenever someone calls them out on some bullshit that they do that they need to be called out for, just because you're scared of their reaction. We oftentimes try to dim our light or be inauthentic or say things that we don't actually mean, not because we want to be inauthentic, not because we like the inauthentic version of ourselves better. Most of us prefer our authentic selves, and we really liked those parts of ourselves until people decided that they didn't like them, and then it made us feel like, oh, maybe there is something wrong with me. But you truly do like yourself, and whenever you are authentic, you feel so much more relaxed because you get to be exactly who you are. And also, why are we here on this planet? It's not to please other people, to fit into a mold. We have this one life that we're living in right now, whether you believe in one life or you believe in reincarnation, whatever you believe in, the life that we're living right now, that's all we have right now. I can't imagine living my entire life never being authentic, always trying to please everyone else around me. And then whenever I'm on my deathbed, all I can think about is how I regret everything. How I regret that I didn't just go out and have fun and be myself. How I didn't let myself be authentic and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and grow as a person and get to know who I was. How I forced myself to stay in a box and fit one specific mode because I was so scared that other people wouldn't accept me. I'm so tired of caring so much about what other people think. Tired of it, like it's exhausting. It takes so much less energy to just be authentic, to just be yourself, and to not let the opinions of other people dictate who you are and how you act. An example I have of a time where someone took my authenticity away or someone's opinion made me stop being authentic. So there's this person in my life that is very hard on themselves whenever they aren't perfectly clean or perfectly put together all the time. If their home isn't clean or is a mess, they are very hard on themselves, beat themselves up insanely, intensely. And because of that, they started doing that to me. Whenever they would come to my home, they would comment on the small things. They would turn their nose up like they were almost better than me because my home was messy. They would turn their nose up at me if I would go out in public not perfectly put together, if I would go out in public in pajamas. And because of that, anytime they would come over, I would be so stressed and anxious because I felt like my home had to be perfectly clean. And if it wasn't, I knew that they would judge me. And I wanted to be good enough for them, even though truth is I could never be good enough for them because this person is always comparing me to them. And no matter what I do, even if I do everything right, everything that they want me to do, they'll still always find something that's wrong with me. And I also started feeling shame about not looking perfectly presentable every time I go out in public. If I'm at my apartment and we go outside, I feel like I have to get dressed because everyone else in the neighborhood might judge me if I have sweatpants on or pajamas on. But truth is, I don't actually care about that stuff at all. My authentic self and who I've always been, I will go out in public wearing the most unpresentable outfit, and I'm okay with that. That's who I've always been. I'm a messy person. I've always been messy. I'm never going to have a perfectly put together home because I am one of the messiest people in the world. And honestly, I used to be really disgusting. I would leave like plates of food all over the place. I wouldn't take them to the sink and I would just leave them there overnight. And I don't do that anymore. And I think it's important to grow ourselves and be better. I want to have a clean home for my daughter, and I am naturally the type of person that I just won't clean and it'll just get so bad that it starts stinking really bad. And I don't want to do that. My boyfriend and I are actually both like that, so it makes it a little bit harder. But we want to have a home that is safe and clean for our daughter, so we will work on ourselves and change ourselves for the better so that we have a clean home. But there's a difference in having a clean home and having a messy home. And him and I are always going to be messy people. That's just who we are, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I used to hate that about myself, not because I hate it about myself, because I actually really love that about myself. I feel like it just makes me who I am. I'm just a girl, and I love it about myself. But that one person made me feel like that quality about myself was bad. And that's just an example I have of me trying to dim my light or be less authentic for someone else. Another example I have is most of the time I don't talk about politics with people. I feel pretty strongly about politics. I wouldn't say that I'm like a huge political person, but I feel pretty strongly about what I personally believe in. And I live in the South, so where I live, most people are Republican. Where I live, it's actually weird to not be Republican or Christian, specifically Baptist. And it's like, you're like the devil if you're not either of those two things. So most of the time, whenever I'm around people, I don't talk about politics. And there are times whenever, like at work, people say the most racist or homophobic thing, and I won't say anything. I'll just sit there and let them talk. Sometimes I'll even smile at them because I'm dimming my own light to be accepted. And I still do that to this day all the time. And I used to feel so guilty and so angry at myself for it. I thought that it meant that I was a bad person, but that was me trying to fit in. It's normal human nature for us to want to fit in and want to be accepted. But truth is, if we fit in and we're accepted, we're never going to be truly accepted and loved for who we truly are. Whenever we are being authentic, that means that there is more room for us to be rejected. And rejection is scary. It's a survival instinct for us to want to be accepted by everyone else, because in the past, as a human, you had to have people and community to survive. And even though we don't live in times like that anymore, our brains are still wired that way. We are still wired for survival. We want to fit in, not because we're bad people, but because we want to survive. And that's normal behavior, but we have to remind that part of our brain that is so scared of being alone and dying that we don't live in those times anymore. We don't live in times where we need other people constantly in order to survive. Of course, we need other people and we need community, but we don't really have much of a community if we're surrounded by people who make us feel bad about ourselves or who make us feel like we aren't allowed to be our most authentic, true form of ourselves. And of course, I don't want people to take that black and white and think if someone is just a little bit different from me, then that means that they're not my person and I have to cut them off and I have to cut everyone off and protect my peace from everyone. And if someone hurt me just a little bit, then that means that they're a bad person and I'm saying bye to them. I feel like here lately, the internet has been so black and white whenever it comes to that stuff. And especially if you have OCD like I do, your brain goes in extremes and it's only black or white. So I really wanted to say that. But despite the fact that it's our natural survival instinct to fit in, we don't need to. And honestly, I'm at a place in my life right now where I don't want to fit in with people that don't make me feel good about myself. Even though I still struggle with people pleasing, I'm at a place where I know that I would be okay if I stand up to those people that are racist or homophobic. I know that I will be okay if I let people know how I feel. But all of us need to let go of that fear of standing out. That fear that if we do say our opinion, someone might try to question it. And what if they question it and then we don't have the right thing to say, or can't find the right words, or we can't explain ourselves? In that situation, you don't have to explain yourself, but usually whenever you're being authentic, it's easy to do that because you can stay out of the anxiety headspace and just be present. And it's a lot easier to shine whenever you aren't so anxious about the outcome of the situation or how other people perceive you. It doesn't matter what other people think about you at all. Our worth and our value, it's not measured by the opinions of other people. Like I said before, some people will love us, some people will hate us, but being authentic means that you will find your people easier. Even if you're rejected over and over again, rejection is redirection. Rejection hurts like hell, but someone rejecting you is just a sign that they were not meant to be in your life, and that's okay. That's good for you. That means that there's better things and better people out there for you. Enjoy what you love without the fear of judgment. If you genuinely enjoy doing something, it does not matter what someone else says or believes about you. If you genuinely love listening to the cringiest music in the fucking world, then listen to it. Because cringy is literally such a personal thing. There could be something that one person finds cringy that another person finds enlightening. And truth is, no matter what you do, you're always going to be cringy to someone. And you can't stop that. Cringing is a normal human thing. A lot of the time, people cringe because they feel like they can't do something. They see someone doing something that, even if they personally don't even want to do that, they know they wouldn't let themselves do it even if they did want to, if that made any sense at all. But do what you love, regardless of other people's opinions. If you love doing crafts and you want to make a YouTube channel about the crafts that you do, but you're scared of other people's opinions, do it anyways. Don't block anyone. Upload the video and then leave. Don't go back on there until you post the next video. I get it that sometimes you want to engage with people, but if you're anxious about it and you know yourself, you know that you will self-sabotage and you will delete that video if you rewatch it a million times and you see one little flaw in it, like I used to do with my podcast. Just upload it and don't go back until you're uploading the next thing. And after you do that, leave again. Don't think about it. I have to do that now with my podcast, and it's a lot easier since I have a baby. I only really think about my podcast whenever I'm planning out episodes, I'm recording episodes, I'm editing, and then I'm uploading an episode or posting about it on Instagram. And that's the only time I think about it. All the other times, I think about whatever else is going on in my life. If you want to make a podcast about being a mom and the things that you care about in motherhood, just do it. I know a lot of people will think oh, I know I'm not someone that can do something like that. Look at me. There are people out there that they can make podcasts and they're good at it, but I'm not. As someone who is a podcaster, me a couple of years ago would have genuinely been absolutely shocked at the fact that I am capable of making podcast episodes, that I am capable of talking about things this deep and putting it out for the entire world to see. Me, whenever I first started college, is a completely different person than I am now. And I did not believe in myself whatsoever. But I'm saying that because a lot of people may listen to my podcast and think oh, she was meant for this. This is something that she's always been good at. And it's not. I only recently started loving and understanding myself enough to be able to do this. It's the reason why I've restarted my podcast so many times. It's the reason why I take so many breaks. I am the world's worst at self-sabotaging because I don't believe in myself. And I say that not to throw myself under the bus, but to remind you that comparing yourself to other people and where they're at and what they're doing in their life, it doesn't help you with anything except for making you feel worse about yourself. So do what you love without comparing yourself to other people. Do what you love at your own pace. For me, my way of going about my podcast is sometimes I get so overwhelmed and I can't do it anymore, so I do take breaks. And sometimes those are much needed breaks. Even though a lot of the time it is self-sabotage, that's just my pattern and that's what works for me. And as I heal and grow, it'll happen less. But focus on you and your personal journey and don't compare yourself to other podcasters if you want to be a podcaster. Don't compare yourself to other moms if you want to talk about motherhood. Don't compare yourself to other influencers if you want to be an influencer. Don't compare yourself to other psychologists if you're going to school to be a psychologist. Don't compare your work and art to other people's. Focus on you and only you. And I know that's easier said than done, but you can do it. Okay, next I have be unapologetically you. Be yourself no matter what. Don't let other people dim your light. Don't let other people dictate who you're going to be. A lot of the time, am the type of person that I kind of form my personality and the way that I act around the people that I'm with. And that's normal to a certain extent, but I do it to an extreme, to the point to where I'm not even authentic. I'm just mirroring how everyone else around me acts. So be yourself, be the person that everyone gravitates to, and that allows other people to let their guard down and not be so fucking scared to be human in social situations. Okay, for number 4, I have trust yourself. Trust your gut. Trust that you know what you're talking about. Trust that you can communicate. Me being someone that struggles with really bad social anxiety, I really struggle to trust that I can have conversations with people. And a lot of the reason why I end up going into a conversation with someone and leaving and being like, oh my God, why did I just act like that? Isn't because I can't do it. It's because I don't trust myself and I don't believe that I can. So trust yourself. Believe that you can do whatever you put your mind to. And you can fake it until you make it. Tell yourself, I am so capable. I am so good at communicating, or whatever it is that you need to trust yourself with. I am so good at being myself. And over time, you will start to be that. Don't expect perfection from yourself because you're human, but just trust yourself. Okay, that's all that I have for this week's episode. If you could, please leave me a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please share my podcast with people that you love, people that you think it would help. Get my podcast out there. And if it benefits you in any way, it'll benefit other people too. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next Sunday.